And that passion that lives inside Miss Lee, ironically, was born on June 19th of 1939. She was 12 years old then. Her family moved into the Terrell Heights neighborhood in Fort Worth. Their white neighbors didn't want them there.
My parents bought a house in a neighborhood that was all white. My mom had it fixed up so nice.
After just days of living in their new home just south of Fort Worth, Opal Lee and her family were harassed by an all-white mob, reported to be 500 strong.
My parents sent us to friends several blocks away.
Miss Lee says the mob threw rocks at the house for days as her father sat inside, rifle in hand, while law enforcement simply watched.
When whites began to gather across the street, there were policemen from Fort Worth and county people.
Lee's father had armed himself to protect his family, but it was the very protectors of the city, Lee says, that told him he'd better not use it.
And he had a rifle. And the police officer said, if you bust a cap, we'll let that mob have you.
Opal Lee's father never pulled the trigger, but the mob did. They burned down Opal Lee's childhood home that once stood here at the corner of East Annie Street and New York Avenue because they were black.
Those people tore that place apart. They burned the furniture and everything else on the 19th of June.
A defining moment in one life that has fueled a lifelong passion to simply be seen as equal.
If we could just get people to understand that none of us are free until all of us are free.
The words of Opal Lee. Texas Senator John Cornyn, by the way, pushed this Juneteenth bill through the Senate. He says that there's no better time than right now for this bill.
That's the way I regard Juneteenth. This is nothing new to the state of Texas. We've had it a state holiday for the last 40 years. But I believe that there's no better time than the present, particularly given the strife we've seen, the level of distrust, for example, between law enforcement and the communities they serve, than to...
He says he'll be spending this Juneteenth, which is this coming Saturday, at the annual celebration in Galveston.